So let's get started. Cricket these days is not just about what happens on the pitch. I'd suggest to you the T20 has shown it's a lot more about the pitch side experience. Now, the International Cricket Council has appointed a local agency, Maverick Exhilarator, as their only supplier to pull together the stadium environment into the entertainment arena. Maverick's Andrew Ross is with us now ahead of his departure for India. I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm so jealous. Welcome. Thanks very much for joining us. What is stadium entertainment?
Well, stadium entertainment is an integrated approach to getting sponsors, cricket-related information, as well as all of the other servicing things that happen inside a live sporting event, centrally integrated through one conduit. In such a way that it seamlessly integrates.
Boy, how cricket has moved on now. I mean, the purists don't like this. I mean, you're rock and rolling the game now, aren't you?
Well, I think...
Do you have any choice?
Not at all. Yeah. The advent of T20, I think, was part of that. The purists didn't like Pro 20 and gave us 3 years to make it work. Now it's one of the biggest formats of the game. The experiences that we've gained through products like the IPL coming to South Africa, through last year's Champions League, and our exposure to the ICC on things like Champions Trophy when they brought it here 2 years ago, I think have made us understand the value of that level of integration and how it's ultimately got to be one focused experience.
Andrew, it's more than just pretty cheerleaders on the side of the pitch. What are we talking about here?
Let's go back a step. I think cheerleaders, etc., are a really good value proposition for the T20 product. I think we're very keen to try and differentiate the bouquet of products in cricketing properties at the moment. 50 over is very different to Test, is very different to 2020. And our mandate going into the World Cup is to make it feel like a 50 over World Cup. So you won't see cheerleaders, you won't see fireworks and pyrotechnics. Those are all ideas that we developed over the years that have become commonplace through cricket grounds around the world.
So what are we going to see?
I think our main angle is to try and tap into the cultural heritage of, it's a very complex tournament. We've got 13 stadia in 3 countries. Sri Lanka feels very different to Bangladesh, feels very different to the Indian stadiums, and we're certainly trying to give them a local flavour, understanding it's still a global tournament that needs to appeal to viewers in Australia, England, as well as in the subcontinent.
How creative and disruptive can you get without disrupting the action that's on the field, which is why we're there in the first place?
Sure, it's a very interesting question. One of the things that people don't realize is that what we do in cricket is never at the expense of the game. We developed a concept called sportainment, which has again become a common phrase around the world. And bedding that down in our own domestic Pro 20 series and moving into the international arena, the one principle that we always abide by in terms of whatever activation it is, in whichever format of the game, is that we never sideshow, we never grandstand. We're there to add value to the field of play. We're there to celebrate something happening during the cricket match, not to do something that sideshows or takes away from what's happening on the field of play. It's a balancing act, but it's one that I think in terms of the value proposition that the sponsors as well as the sport is understanding needs to take place to create this area of differentiation for their products.
What sort of strategy then does a sponsor need in order to become part of this holistic experience, but also not to upset the viewer and to upset the person who's sitting at the stadium?
Look, going into these sports sponsors obviously have got their own brand identity, they've got their own messaging, they've got their own takeout they're trying to get. Our advice and our job to a large degree is to balance that into one environment. So we're working with the Pepsis, the LGs, the Yahoos, the Hero Hondas, not to dictate the strategy, to make sure that the activation space that they're in is balanced and referenced in terms of the other sponsors, and making sure that on match day it happens. We roll it out, we implement it with their international agencies to make sure that it all balances out. I think ultimately international sponsors and domestic sponsors in sport alike need to realize that they need to tailor-make their activations and tailor-make the way that they talk to the consumer in the stadium environment for the product that they're in.
Why did a South African company win this gig?
I think, do you want the easy answer? I think we've got probably some of the greatest amount of experience in the game. We pioneered a lot of the 2020 over ideas. We have, over the years, been exposed to everything from IPL, Champions League, Champions Trophy, and we're one of the only companies in the world that adopts this integrated approach, where we centralize all of the match day activities through a central conduit.
You're in for a tough couple of weeks, but you're going to have fun, I'm sure.
looking forward to it.
Good stuff. That was Maverick's Andrew Ross with us here on Mags on Media. Now, we've told you about our active Facebook page for the program. It's a place designed for your feedback on media issues and advertising. And this week we want to thank Tumelo Musi for his message relating to the Cell C talking ad that we featured on the program, I think it was 2 weeks ago.